it's me Gigi and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I wanted to share with you what I've been reading over the past month and a half. Now this is supposed to be my manga wrap ups number 4, however it's been a pretty long time since I've done my last manga wrap ups. I think it's pushing on about 7 months now, so sorry guys. I know I should probably be doing this type of video once every month, or at least when I've accumulated quite a few volumes of manga that I have read, but for whatever reason I just haven't done that. So rather than me doing one massive long video of what everything I've read since then, I'm gonna do what I've read just most recently, sort of the last month and a half. It includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different series, so not too much, but I didn't, as I say, I don't want to make this too long. So kicking it off to start off with is volume 6 of Jojos Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable Part 4. I am absolutely loving this series. In this volume we know who our main villain is in the series, and Josuke is trying to go after him. I think it's Josuke, or is it Jotaro? Now I get those two confused quite a bit, but I think it's Josuke because Jotaro's the main character from part 3, right? If I remember correctly. But we've found out who the villain is. The villain is being a pain in the backside. He's a really creepy villain as well, with a really strange obsession with women's hands, which is really creepy because that's one of the things that I really don't like, is like hands, like long fingers and long fingernails. It really creeps me out. So he's, for me, definitely a creepy villain. Probably not as freaky as Dio. I do have to admit I didn't like Dio as much. I feel like he's a better villain, but he is on par. I don't particularly like him. We've also been introduced to another character in this volume, which he claims to be an alien. He's a very interesting looking guy, so I'm curious to see what happens to him in the next volume as well. So I know this part of Jojos is starting to wind down soon. I think we're gonna only get 9 of these hardbacks, so we are what, 3 away? Yeah, 3 away. Oh my god, I can't even count. 3 away until we have completed part 4. So I am super excited to see what happens in the next volume. I have got that pre-ordered, so that will be coming in within the next couple of days or within the next week. So I can't wait to see where this goes. But this is such a fun, action-packed shonen / seinen. It's definitely worth the read. I can totally understand why people don't get on with sort of like part 1 and part 2. The anime for it, for me, was enjoyable, but it wasn't outstanding. It was only when I got into part 2 that was when I really started to enjoy the series, and then part 3 for me was fantastic because it had Jotaro in it, and you guys know Jotaro is my favourite character out of all of the ones that I've read and watched so far. So yeah, I can't wait to see where this ends and what happens with our main villain and what happens to this bow that they've got that creates stands. And I'm so happy that Viz Media has licensed part 5, so I can't wait to see what happens in future parts as well. So far as JoJo Bizarre Adventure Part 4 Diamond is Unbreakable concerned, it's definitely one of my favourite parts of JoJo's, and I would definitely recommend giving it a go if you haven't. So for this next series that I've been reading and absolutely loving, this is probably going to come as no surprise to any of you that watched my previous video, and that series is Dr. Stone, volume 12 and 13. Now, our main group, the Science Kingdom, has split up into 2 teams. One is staying behind in Japan as the second part of the team journeys across the sea to see if they can find a certain device that Senku's father, he believes, has left behind to help make an infinite amount of elixir that will allow them to unpetrify the rest of the human beings. So the second part of this group is staying behind in Japan just in case they don't survive, so humanity can essentially live on. This part of the series has probably been one of my favourites so far. As we land above this island, we find that they're not actually alone, and when some of the crew is left on the ship by themselves, a certain situation occurs and Senku has to help find his crewmates. So Kohaku ends up having to infiltrate a certain village that is located on the island and totally transform herself into something she's totally not used to wearing and behaving like. It's such a great arc in this series so far. As I say, it's probably one of my favourites. I love all the humour that's occurred in their journey so far, from when Senku has broken free from this from the petrification to where he is now, the stupid faces that he pulls, and just his downright sleazy, creepy kind of attitude when he tries to manipulate other people into doing his bidding. It's just really amusing. I totally enjoy everything about his character. I also enjoy the dynamic between each and every character that Senku interacts with is absolutely fantastic. The comedy is brilliant. This is definitely not your stereotypical shonen, like I've said in the past. It's a lot slower paced. There's no power-ups. It's nothing like a Naruto, a One Piece, a Bleach, a Dragon Ball, or any of those type of series. This is totally different, so I totally understand when people say that they don't get on with it, because it's so different from a stereotypical shonen, which is probably why I really do genuinely love this series. So for me, I read a lot of shoujo, and coming from sort of like a shoujo fantasy, dark fantasy type background, jumping into this was totally different. However, I loved every second of it, and I am continuing to love every second of it. I can't wait to get a new volume every time it comes out. It's just a really interesting story that has kept my attention even now. So yeah, I would definitely give this a go if you haven't already. It's, as I say, definitely a different shonen, and it won't be for everybody, but it's good if you like a shoujo, I think personally, because it's easy to read and it is an ongoing shonen. However, I would probably say check this out on the Shonen Jump app if you haven't, purely because it's an investment, because it's an ongoing series if you do enjoy it. So moving on is a more mature, smuttier, adult type series, and that is Everyone's Getting Married Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now, I picked this one up from my local comic book store a couple of months ago and couldn't find Volume 1. Well, I ordered it online and it's finally come in. Sat down and read it and really enjoyed it. If you like a series very similar to Maki and Joji, you're probably gonna love this series. This follows a couple in their 20s. The younger woman called Asuka, I think that's how you say her name, you guys know I am right with names, right? She has a goal in life, a dream, and that is to quit her job and become a stay-at-home housewife and look after her husband. So we start off in this series finding her at a wedding. She's really excited to go home because she feels like her boyfriend, her long-term boyfriend, is about to propose to her, and she feels like her dream is about to come true. Well, unfortunately, that is not the case. He ends up dumping her. So unfortunately, she has her dreams crushed as her ex-boyfriend wants to pursue a career in acting, which is a complete bummer to her, as you can probably imagine, because it crushes her dreams there and then. However, in comes Ryu, I think that's the guy's name, and he is a guy that is the polar opposite to Asuka. He doesn't want to get married, he just wants to focus on his career and doesn't want that sort of like extra baggage kind of thing. However, as you can probably imagine, he starts to change his mind as he gets to know Asuka, and they start to form a friendship and then into a relationship, and a lot of smexiness happens, and it's absolutely fantastic. I've only read the first 2 volumes of this series and I've enjoyed every single moment of this josei. It is very reminiscent to me of Maki and Joji's type of work. However, the character design is slightly different, although they do have that same feel, and the storytelling is very different. But I'm absolutely head over heels in love with this. I cannot wait to pick more up. But obviously Christmas is coming, so I'm hoping Santa brings some more of these volumes to me. So I can only pray, right? I can only wish and hope that someone will pick me up some more volumes. But I would definitely give this a go if you like a more mature adult type read. This is a romantic josei, so yeah, it's rated mature, so if you aren't of that age I would probably give that a miss, but I've enjoyed every second of what I've read so far and I cannot wait to see where this series goes and how it ends. It does actually end at volume 9, so it's not too much of an investment for anybody that wants to pick it up and give it a read. But yeah, that's Everyone's Getting Married. So following along the more mature, adult, smutty type of series that you guys know I love, is volume 4 of Sweat and Soap. Now, Sweat and Soap has been one of my favourite series, ongoing series, that I've been picking up in most recent times. This is such a quirky, smutty, horny mess and I absolutely adore it. It's very, very cute and I adore the relationship that these two characters have here. This is Osako and that one, this guy here is Notori. Their relationship, to my surprise, is what you don't tend to see in josei manga. Is a very healthy relationship. We've got Notori that's trying to boost Asaku's confidence just by being himself and telling her to just be herself as well. Asaku has a problem with excess body odor and body sweat, so she's always carrying around deodorant, fragrances, towels to pat herself down, and she is extremely uncomfortable with the way she smells and very self-conscious of it, in fact. So these two first meet in the lobby of the company that they both work at, Lily Drop, as she's admiring the newest summer collection, which just so happens to be a collection that Notori-san happened to have designed. So as she's in there admiring these gorgeous new fragrances, he just happens to walk past and catches a little sneaky whiff of Osaka, and to everybody's surprise he comes running over, gives her a good old sniff and is like, "You just gave me chills, your scent just gave me chills. I'm not a creep, don't be creeped out by me. However, I would really like to study your scent." So to his surprise and my surprise, she actually agrees to this and allows him to study her every single day by coming over and giving her a good old sniff. So, and from there, shenanigans ensues. We've got a relationship building, so it goes from a very strange agreement into a friendship, then blossoms into a beautiful relationship. We've got so much development within the first 4 volumes. We see Osaka try to figure out what her feelings are for Notori and try and express how she feels, because she's very sort of like self-conscious and not very outspoken, so she's starting to find her voice a little bit more. She's starting to feel more confident. The relationship between them are growing and it's just such a wholesome and cute, quirky, smutty, good time, and I've enjoyed every single moment of what I've read. There's also a particular scene in, I think it's volume 3, let me just check. Yeah, volume 3, where the two go on a little staycation, well not staycation, a vacation away, and there's a little bit of a saunery, smutty, onsen-y mess, and I absolutely enjoyed every second of that scene and that chapter. But if you enjoy Everyone's Getting Married, Maki and Joji, anything like that, I'm sure you would absolutely adore this series and I wholeheartedly recommend you do pick it up. It is by Kodansha in their larger format, so it's fantastic reading experience. Personally, I enjoy the bigger formats, but it's such a gorgeous, wholesome story and I would definitely recommend it if you haven't checked it out already. So for the last series that I've read recently, this series is one that I mentioned in my previous, I think it was my previous manga wrap-ups, and that is Hell Paradise. So I have read volume 2 and volume 3. This series continues to surprise me at every single turn. It's not normally one that I would have necessarily gravitated to start off with. However, once reading volume 1 and how it ended, sort of like cliffhangery, it's hooked me ever since. and I just can't put this series down. It's definitely a more mature seinen series. It's got the edge and grip of Tokyo Ghoul and kind of similar art style in the sense that it's quite sketchy. I'm not going to open up inside the volumes at all just because it's going to be spoiler territory in volumes 2 and 3. However, that gives you kind of like an idea of how the actual artist draws the story. So this series here follows Gabimaru. He is an assassin that was betrayed by his village and basically sentenced to death. A lady executioner, this one here, tries to kill him, and unfortunately for some unknown reason he just won't die. So he then gets told by the shogun along with a lot of other criminals to travel to this paradise island and find an immortal elixir, and if he does manage to bring one back, he will be acquitted of all of his crimes and he won't be sentenced to death. However, they travel across the waters to this island and find out that not all is what it may first appear on this island. There's no humans, there's only monsters, and any humans that have managed to get on that island has never come back looking like a human. They've been turned into some sort of awful demon-like creature. So this is definitely a series that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I have done. It's got a lot of decapitation, a lot of violence, a lot of blood, a lot of stuff that you would definitely not be surprised to see in a samurai and a ninja type series, but it has not let me down at all. In the last 2 volumes that I've read, we've been introduced to more of the creatures and how they become creatures and what's turned them into these very strange looking monsters. We've also been introduced to a village, and this village looks like it has been inhabited by humans, but we're not quite sure yet if that's the case. But it's definitely full of mystery, definitely full of intrigue, so I can't wait to see what happens in volume 4. But I've really genuinely enjoyed my time with this. Now this is a seinen and it is rated mature, so do bear that in mind, and I probably would say if you are primarily a shoujo reader, you're probably not gonna like this at all, if I'm being honest. However, for me personally, there's enough intrigue, enough mystery to keep me engaged, especially when it comes to sort of towards the end of the volumes. They always leave me on a cliffhanger. It makes me want to know what happens next. So yeah, but yeah, that was all that I've read the last sort of like month and a half. It's not really a whole lot. However, I have been reading like chapters and stuff on the Shonen Jump app. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with all of the series that I have been reading. And I would definitely recommend you pick some of them up, and if you do pick some of them up or give some of them a try, let me know. I would definitely love to know your thoughts on these series, especially if you're more of a shoujo reader and you end up picking up Hell's Paradise. I would totally love to hear your thoughts because I know it's definitely not for everybody. And also all of the series that I've mentioned in this video will be linked down in the description box down below if you wanted to check any of them out. They will be affiliate linked, so just I wanted to let you guys know. However, you don't have to purchase them using my affiliate link. It's entirely up to you. However, if you do that, I would really appreciate it, and any money that's made using those links will be pumped straight back into this channel to create better content for you guys. So yeah, so until next time guys, have a good one. Bye.